Merry meet. I'm Darius. I'm making this video today on a topic that I think is kind of important to all new witches everywhere. I'm starting my practice. What do I need? Where do I get it? How much is a good price? I've heard many differing opinions on this, and some of the older scholars will say you need this, and that, and the other thing, and this can only be shipped overseas, and that has to be carried to you on the backs of slaves on this day of the month, in this procedure, along this road, from this direction, while the sun's in this position. Ceremonial magic is complicated. I don't recommend it for beginners, though it's great scholarly work if you are more advanced and looking to expand your practice, and you want to get some better and differing concepts as to what you can do with magic. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of what I've done, and I'm going to tell you after almost every single one of these items, I'm going to say the words "no excuses," because I live by the saying that while it's nice to have a lot of big fancy tools and really cool stuff, you can always get them economically. There's very, very few exceptions to this. On top of that, there's nothing saying you can't just get cheap, simple tools, especially when you're early in your practice, and you may give it up in a year or two. You don't know what you're going to be or how you're going to feel about this in a year. So don't push yourself to get all fancy stuff. Exhibit A. You want basic supplies. Incense? I used to buy my incense from the dollar store when I started my practice. I have since started storehousing nicer and better forms of incense, and I have a lot more to draw on, so I can afford to splurge on $10 to $20 rare incense, or 30 or 40 in the case of really, really hard to find ones, once in a blue moon. But those I will save for special occasions. I will not spend them regularly. I still have about 15 to 20 different kinds of incense up in my altar, just in a box. So there are little packages lined up, and I built up a store of that over years. If you're going to start with basic incenses and you're going to buy from the dollar store, get something that's simple, something that can serve most purposes. Frankincense, patchouli. I don't know many that do rosemary incense, but rosemary is a really good all-purpose herb. And while you can't use those for everything, you can use those for most things, especially most beginner things. Candles. Let's say you're on a real budget. Aside from a few of the places I'm going to mention later, which also sell candles, this is a lot of what I use. I am a 15-year-long practitioner thus far. This is a lot of what I use. This is a box of 72 Shabbos candles. They're sold for primary use in the Jewish Sabbath. I use them for witchcraft. To hell with what any Jew thinks of me for using this for witchcraft. It's little candles. Single spell use candles. Very simple. Easy to use. Easy to get. This whole thing cost me less than $5. As you can see, this is a relatively new box. I emptied my last box a couple weeks ago, and I just ran out and bought a new one. 1 second. Where the hell did it fall? There it is. Okay. Thank you for humoring that little moment. Altar cloths. An altar itself, I will speak on in a moment. Some people don't have space for altars. But altar cloths, ones that can be easily gotten and easily found. You could get beautiful tablecloths if you have a big enough altar. You could get scarves or table runners or awesome stuff. You know what I use? This is a bandana. This is a cotton bandana that I bought, I don't even remember where. I think I bought this at Walmart on clearance. And it's 100% cotton, all natural fabrics. A lot of witches seem to find that important. I know I do. But yeah, it's really pretty. It's blue. I have a bag of these upstairs in all different colors and all different patterns for all different occasions. And I set down a new altar cloth every time I want to change the mood or have a color for a specific spell. Some people just have one or two altar cloths that they change seasonally or change out for a very specific ritual, and they just have an altar cloth. I recommend an altar cloth in general. Like I've said, you can get them cheap. I paid $1 for that, I think. $1, maybe $2. Partly to protect the wood of whatever table you're working on from wax drippings and from being like incense bits that would scald the wood or ruin the finish. My altar is an antique table that's gone down in my family. It's this little, like, yay big, yay tall. I kneel in front of it, and it's really nice, and I love it. That being said, I've seen tables that would suit as altars in antique shops around the country and thrift stores. Well, not around the country, around my home states. I'm sure there are plenty more around the country. Speaking of thrift shops, this actually heavily resembles some of the metal vessels used in ceremonial magic as braziers to hold like sand and incense charcoal briquettes and do frankincense and gum arabic on them as part of the fumigations to call spirits. Heavily resembles it. Would work very well as a witch's brazier, especially since if you put sand in here, as long as you're holding it by the bottom like this, you won't be burned. And now if you have enough sand in there, even like this could be a brazier to hold loose incense and burn it. I paid $3 for this. $3 at a little thrift store in... I forget whether it's Upper Westchester in New York State or not. I forget. But, nice little thrift store. They actually are part of a religious community, and they get a lot of people donating things from their community. And by religious, I mean Catholic, specifically. Beautiful shrines up there. Just because I don't worship or revere, doesn't mean I can't acknowledge the beauty. But yeah, this is gorgeous. It's silver-plated. I don't see sterling, so I'm assuming it's silver-plated. Yeah, I don't see the sterling stamp anywhere. It's clearly old, used. I cleansed and consecrated it last night. Gorgeous piece. $3. You know what cost me $5? This is another thrift store find. Mortar and pestle. Really nice one, too. Once in a blue moon, I use it to double as a ritual bell. God, that's loud. My apologies. I forgot how loud that is. So, go and look. And don't think you have to go and buy all the time. This is a candle snuffer I use in my rituals, so, snuff candles. There is some stigma in traditional Wicca and in certain other forms of Wicca that one should not blow out candles because you're putting your breath to the flame, scattering the energies. Or if you've invoked a being on this candle, like you've lit the candle to call a deity, you're blowing in the deity's face, going, "Get the hell out of my house." Not respectful. It's not like you wouldn't go up to a guest in your home in the middle of a party and say, "Okay, can you leave now?" Spit all over them. No. This actually was my grandmother's. She didn't want it. It was sitting on a shelf. She didn't really like candles anymore. So I just asked for it. And I have a candle snuffer. I have a couple more that I bought from the dollar store that are actually kind of similar, but don't hesitate to clean out attics. Don't hesitate to help relatives clean out attics and go, "Oh, this is cool. Can I have this?" Don't tell them why if you don't want to. You'll appear more helpful and you'll get a lot of nice things. Speaking of dollar stores, this beautiful little offering bowl. Some people use this for like little bits of ingredients in culinary, but I could use this for offering. I could use this for water, for loose herbs. Half a dozen other things. Set of 4. $1. No excuses. You can find tools. You can find tools on a ridiculous budget. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, thrift stores, and flea markets. Go for a walk in the woods. I have a beautiful silver paten upstairs, like the pentagram in the circle. Done in silver. I love it. I have a friend who has a near equally beautiful paten. It was done in... She got a seashell from the shore ages ago, and it was her first paten, and she just painted a silver star on it. I have another friend who has this nice river stone. And she didn't she didn't just do the symbol of the star. She did the symbol of the star and the runes and the tools, and it apparently took her a weekend to get it right. She kept washing the stone off, going, "No, that's not right." You don't have to go buy anything fancy, necessarily. If you want to, you can. If you have the budget for it, you can. And sometimes, if you just call out to the universe, if you just make your intent known, if you light a candle and say, "I'm looking for this, help me find it. I'm looking for something that fits this description. Basic. Keep it relatively basic. Keep it open. Help me find it. I'm looking for it for this purpose. I need it to suit this purpose. Help me find it." And sometimes you don't even need to do that, and the right things will find you. One of my favorite things to show, I'm going to lean over, and is a statue of an Egyptian deity that I found. Now, I had this habit of going to this particular store because they had Egyptian deity statues, among other things, among a plethora of other weird stuff in the back. And I would go and look and see, oh, well, is there anything I want? Is there anything I could use? Is there anything that calls to me? Most often there wasn't. Sometimes there was. There was one that gave me pause. And I looked at it. It's this beautiful statue of the goddess Bast. Granted, it wasn't in black. I believe, I still haven't gotten it verified. I believe it's made of sandstone. Either that or petrified wood. Not entirely sure. But it's hand carved. That much is clear from the fact that it's very uneven and very roughly done. It's one of my favorite statues, and has been of great help to me over the years. On that first visit, I initially looked at the statue and said, "All right, if you're mine, when I come back in a month, you'll still be here." I came back in a month. The statue hadn't moved an inch. Not an inch. She waited for me. So I picked up the statue and looked at it and looked at the bottom and nearly shat myself when I saw on the bottom sticker, "Made in Egypt." Well, so I'm going to lean. Here, come here, darling. This statue, the beads I added later as a sort of ornament and raiment. This beautiful statue of Bast that I have had with me for many years now, I found in TJ Maxx. Never, ever underestimate where you will find things. Never assume you'll find things only in New Age stores or in the appropriate proper places or only out in nature. I found a beautiful statue of an Egyptian deity that I have never seen elsewhere. Hold on, let me turn you upside down, darling. The Made in Egypt stamp is still on there. Can you see that? I never removed it. Oh, your raiment is going everywhere. I hope you don't mind the meowing. That's actually the one of the house cats trying to get in. Hilarious that he shows up just as I hold the statue of Bast. You got a sense of humor. I'll let him in a moment. But yeah, never underestimate where you can find things. I think this cost me $15. Beautiful she is. Beautiful she is. And so yeah, Go for a walk in the woods. Go clean out your attic. Go find stuff. What you need, you decide what you need. Read up. Look into books. Piece it together. Figure it out. Don't necessarily take everyone's tool recommendations for your own, but look and... 2 seconds. Dang it. Come on, you darn cat. It's your fault for going out on a rainy day. Sorry, life intruded. Okay. Where the hell was I? Yes! Read books. Decide what you need. No one can define your practice for you. Unless you're practicing a tradition, and then there's very clear guidelines. To put it very simply, look at what tools the book says you should have. Look into why it says you should have them. What it says they're used for. Can you think of something else you might use in its place if you really don't like or want to try and find that particular tool, or you're not comfortable with that particular tool? Be adaptable. As you've seen with a lot of the examples I showed, you can find really beautiful, gorgeous, amazing pieces for very little. Like I said, I think, let me go again down the list. Candle snuffer, free. Mortar and pestle. I think I paid $5 for that. $5. Brazier, gorgeous, silver brazier, $3. Altar cloth, bandana, $1. Set of 4 for $1. Beautiful little bowls. I use those all the time in my practice. Statue of Bast, gorgeous statue of Bast. $15? I don't even think it was $15. I think I might have bought it on clearance. Anyway. Now, is this all my tools? No. These are just some examples. I'm not showing you my whole tool set because, honestly, I'd rather you not mimic another witch. Figure it out. Part and parcel of being a witch without going to a particular tradition or practicing how a specific book tells you to. And if you're going to practice how a specific book tells you to, you don't really need to watch my videos that much, because you already have your instructions. If you want to expand, get creative. Listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. Really be adaptable. I've heard it said, and it's true, one can be like the oak, strong and rooted and rigid and clear and standing tall. One can be like the willow, moving in every breeze, bending and swaying. Or like the river reed. Sometimes this analogy uses the willow and sometimes uses the river reed. And it seems better to be strong to a lot of people. But when the storm comes, a strong enough storm comes, eventually that oak tree will fall over, crack, topple, lose most of its branches. The willow will bend and move and bear the wind by giving just so, by giving away just so. That seems like the wiser way to me. After that storm, the oak is down and the willow stands tall. Be adaptable. Figure it out. I may be here to help and guide, but I'm not here to baby you. No one is. And if anyone is, they may be to your detriment. Because if someone else is babying you and doing a lot of the work for you, they're not helping you grow. In order for you to grow, you have to do a lot of it yourself. So what do you need? What do you think you need? How will you get it? Look. If you're not willing to put in the work to figure out what you need and figure out how to get it, I don't know if you're ready for witchcraft. I apologize if anyone finds that offensive, but it's my opinion and I'm sticking to it. So, I may do more on tools later and their purposes, but I think this is a good start. Hail and farewell, Mary Part.